Today I will be talking about Agents.MD, which is a way to create a predictable agent with specific token and instructions across multiple agentic workflows and tools. So, if you have been coding or if you've seen coding repositories, you know about README files. So, README files allow humans to understand how to get started with a project, what is the description of the project, and how they can use the project or contribute to it. .md is just a file extension. It's for markdown files, a special text file that is readable by computers and machines, and it is the de facto way to create documentation. So Agents.MD is essentially this README file, but instead for humans, we make it for agents and agentic tools. So what you will be putting there, we are going to see in today's video. This is nothing extraordinary, but it is beautiful to have. And this is an open source standard at this point, as it was introduced by OpenAI. So you can put information, you can do context engineering for your coding agents. You can tell it the build steps, the tests, and various other things that you want the agent to know. And by having this Agents.MD file inside of your root directory in your code base, any coding tool can read it easily and have the same context, the same understanding of what the project is about and how to use this project and code on top of this, project. So what we want to do is give agents a clear and predictable place for instructions. We want to keep the README files concise and focused only on humans, and also want to provide precise agent-focused guidance to complement the existing README and documentation files. So this is an augmentation that will improve the context of the agent, and it will improve its ability to understand and use your specific code base. So you want an Agents.MD inside each, let's say, GitHub repository that you use with AI agents. So in the past, each coding tool had its own markdown file called Gemini.MD, CloudCode.MD, OpenAI.MD, but now we can have one for every single coding agent. And this is very, very easy to use across multiple tools. And the current ones that are, supporting this is Codex from OpenAI, Cursor, Gemini CLI, Code, Zed, all of these coding tools. So as we can see, it's already quite, extensive. Only Cloud Code is not here from the main ones, I gotta say. But again, the differences are not huge. It's most about how the file is named and how all of these tools are able to understand what it is about. So this is the typical structure, or let's say an example structure of how the Agents.MD looks like. You have development environment tips with specific instructions to do specific tasks. You have testing instructions, that are used for testing, and this is for pull requests. This is especially useful for Codex and the Jules project. So yeah, let's see how to use it. But before we do so, I want to let you know that I have created an AI course that costs a $20 one-time fee. It's hosted on Udemy. You pay only once and you get over 40 hours of tutorials and course material. And every single month you're going to get hours upon hours of new content and new stuff to learn on AI. And you don't have to pay anything. You get that completely for free after you buy the course. This is a way for me to give back to you for a very cheap price. This is the cheapest actual price on the web. There is pretty much nobody else offering such a small entry fee for one-time payment. And I really hope that this course can help you get started with AI and make more money than ever with it. So guys, we have to create an Agents.MD at the root of our repository. So that's exactly what I have done here. I also asked Gemini Code Assist to improve upon my initial structure. This is prompt optimization essentially. And cover what matters most: a project overview, the build and test commands, the code style guidelines, the testing instruction, and security considerations. In my case, I really just want to specify a general coding agent with specific analysis of how I want everything to be built. So really, we should not really overcomplicate it. Really, it's very, very simple what I have done here, but for specific use case, you might want to improve it. And also your coding agent can actually help you, optimize your MD file. So get started, build it along with an AI product, and you will have a perfect Agents.MD to use across any AI tool we have mentioned before. So you can add extra instructions like commit messages and pull request guidelines, security, data sets, deployment steps, blah, blah, blah. Everything you can think of giving context and giving options to the model to do, you can add. And if you have a very large repository, let's say with frontend and backend together, you can use nested Agents.MD in sub-projects. So you can open up the folder for your frontend and create an Agents.MD in there, just for the frontend. And the same you can do with the backend, with the database, or whatever, with the deployment. So you can have multiple Agents.MD according to the directory and what you have inside there and what you want to be used, which is amazing. And I really love how this is adopted by both OpenAI, Jules, Cursor, and other open source teams. So this is beautiful. And you can see here migration steps. You just go to Agents.MD website to see this website. And for Gemini CLI, they say to configure it, you want to open Gemini settings.json to this spot. I think actually right now it's able to read it by default, but we will have to test it out. So I'm opening up Gemini CLI, just typing Gemini. It's that simple. Let's see. And it says here, tips to get started, ask questions, edit files, and run commands, be specific, create Gemini.md files to customize interaction. And yeah, I could actually update my Gemini CLI. So, we might as well do this right now. So let's open up the new version of Gemini CLI and I will come back to you. We're going to use it in a single prompt just for, seeing the use case and seeing if it actually follows our instructions. So we can actually see by doing a prompt if Gemini, for example, will be able to use our instructions. I will also try it with Gemini Code Assist, even though I don't think it's actually implemented in it, but let's see. So, while we wait for that, I will remove this context. I will just leave it by default and I'm going to Gemini CLI and I'm going to ask it a very simple thing, create transformers reaching web page, and we are using the agent version. So let's see if this will work. Clarifying objective, mapping out of the context, and it starts to implement it. I see actually that it has not seen the Agents.md. Maybe if I add it as context, it will read it, but by default, it's not reading it in this case. But again, let's see if it's actually going to do the job. It seems like it doesn't do the job because it has not read the Agent.md in this case. But what we care about is mostly Gemini CLI in this case because we know that this tool is not using it. So we see a failing example at first because I think this is important. It's always important to see failing examples so we can understand when something works and when something doesn't work so we can do a comparison. So, okay. It's doing some job here to create, interactive diagrams, etc., etc. I'm just going to let it think. And already the Gemini is ready, which is good. As we can see, the agent is concluding like the whole project so many times. This is insane. It literally enters a forever loop to finish the task, which is insane. Wow. It's just continuous thinking about completing the task. I'm just going to stop it because it did everything we asked it to do. And let's see the result, which is of course not going to be using the Agents.md. So this is how the result looks like without following the Agents.md file that we have specified. And I want to ask you the question, did you use Agents.md instructions? So let's see if the model actually understands if it used it or not. That would be very, very interesting. So it says that it did to its best of its abilities, which is interesting. Is this actually true? Maybe not. But yeah, this is an example of what we don't want to happen and what you can expect to happen if you don't have the Agents.md. But right now, by having the Agents.md, we can go ahead and open up Gemini. And my Gemini installation was broken. Nice. Love this. This is so beautiful to see. Man, it's broken. Okay, so I finally made it work and I really want to see if by default Gemini CLI is going to read the Agents.md. It seems that it's probably not going to be able to do just that and that we would have to specify, we would actually have to specify it with a default name if we want to use it. Otherwise, we would have to go into the settings folder and change that up. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and rename this Gemini.MD and just go ahead and straightforward show you how this tool is able to read the context and, do the results. However, it's obvious that the integration, at least inside Gemini CLI, is not very, very, very strong. And already we can see that it's not even reading Gemini. And the reason is very simple. When you specify files like that, you would have to exit and re-enter Gemini. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to do just what it has to do. So let's open up Gemini again. It's using .md, so it has written the file from the directory. And in the future, hopefully, Gemini CLI, along with all of the other tools, is just going to use the Agents.MD. So everyone is going to be having one single file, and this is sadly not done. So yeah, that's the truth of the situation. So in order to accept this change, we click yes, allow once, yes, allow. And now Gemini is going to be using this markdown file, this specification file. The goal is in general to have just a single one of these, no more than one, to rule them all. But this is not the case right now. And this is the final result. It really did exactly what it said to do, but it didn't go in real big depth, It didn't go the extra mile, it didn't do the extra step. And that's pretty disappointing by Gemini 2.5 Pro. And this just shows you how difficult and how behind even on simple stuff AI is. Not because AI is, silly, it's because we as humans don't put the correct effort into making AI simple enough to be integrated everywhere. We're even fighting about naming a .markdown file so every tool can use it. You can understand how fragmented, we have fragmented even the most simple stuff in AI. And this is so disappointing, very, very disappointing.